Hello everyone and welcome back to another custom spotlight. Today, last week we had the biggest custom spotlight the first part of the IDW collection, Surge and Kit. Today we'll be continuing the IDW collection with what I can only describe as the biggest batch of characters that I've ever tackled in one go. So, as they come up around the back, guys, this is the second time this has happened. Alright, let's try that again. So, for today's custom spotlight, I give you the Diamond Cutters and Jewel. Let's start with the iconic duo from the original IDW comics, Tangle and Whisper. Now, obviously, you all want to start with the train, so we'll start with the train. So, this is Whisper. This is made from an AEG Plero Go-Go Whiff, which I colored in orange to match Whisper the Wolf's orange fur. And she also has black shoes, which is why she has black wheels. Now, in the IDW comics, these two, Tangle and Whisper, are often paired up. It's basically like, Whisper is like the calm, seems to be like the calm, quiet member of the group, but she actually has a lot more going on with her than you'd think. I don't want to reveal too much of it, but, she used to have her own team called the Diamond Cutters. Maybe I'll flash a few pictures up on the screen to visualize what I'm talking about, but she had her team called Diamond Cutters, and they were fighting during the war when Eggman took over the world after the events of Sonic Forces. There's a 6-month time gap in that game, and during that events, Whisper and her friends formed a group of mercenaries who protected people. However, one of their members, Mimic, who I'll talk about in a future occasion, turned on the group and got 3 of their members killed. Whisper was one of the few that survived. And since then, she's been very isolated. That is until she met Tangle. Now, I'm sure you're probably immediately asking, Jacob, why is Tangle a coach? Hold on. Let me readjust the camera stand a little bit. There we go. I'm sure you're probably asking, why is Tangle a coach? And why wouldn't she be an engine like everyone else? Well, it's because of the type of character that we know Tangle to be that I think she'd make most sense as a coach or a piece of rolling stock. So, very clear when we first meet Tangle in the books that she is a very optimistic character. Like, in the darkest pit, she would be the, like, if all the characters were in a really dark pit, Tangle would be the one ray of sunlight. Like, literally no joke. This girl, like, she bounces off the walls with excitement. So, I thought that, however, it's stated in the comics that she lived a normal life for a while. Well, as normal as a life for someone like her can be. Then she went on an adventure with Sonic and his friends. And then after that, she sort of struggled to insert herself back into her normal life in the village. But she couldn't leave the village because she feared that Eggman would attack again. I like the idea of making Tangle a character who yearns for adventure but can't actively go in and can't actually actively go out and experience it herself. She needs to be taken places in order to actually see the world around her. That's what I like about the idea of making her a coach, because now she physically can't move herself. She can only move if an engine pulls her somewhere. And that's why she was so excited to go on her adventure with Sonic. Because Sonic, who's right here, by the way, Sonic could take her wherever she wanted, and she went on this big adventure that she's never gone on before because she's just a coach. My headcanon for her is that she and her partner over here, who we'll talk about in a moment, are special use coaches. Coaches who only go out for special occasions. Meaning that she spends most of her time just sitting in a siding doing nothing. So, yeah, that's what gives her eagerness for adventure. So I like the idea of making her a coach. She is very important to the railway's function, being a special use coach, but she doesn't think that. And she also can't physically go out to see the world around her, which is why she and Whisper become such good friends. Because she's an engine. She can take her places. So, also, okay, this is where we get a little bit serious. I don't know what the fan consensus on it is, but in the game, in the comics, these two have a very sort of quote-unquote romantic relationship. They're both girls, by the way. Just saying that. I don't know what the fan consensus is on that. I mean, I guess it's nice, I guess. And I guess the IDW crew definitely liked the idea because they played with it on several occasions. Never to the extent like they've shown them kissing or anything, but like there's been some blushing, some holding hands, you know. But anyway, getting off that topic, because I don't want to start a huge discussion in the comments. What else can I really say? Well, these two actually have just sort of like Surge and Kit, who have the Imposter Syndrome miniseries. Tangle and Whisper have their own miniseries in the IDW comics. They have a miniseries called the Tangle and Whisper miniseries, where they just go out and have an adventure. I would love to adapt that someday with the trains. First, I need to make a mimic, though. So yeah, there is a lot of hold on a moment. Sorry about that. Anyway, so Tangle and Whisper. What was I? Where was I? Anyway, they have their own miniseries, and I read it a lot, and I really like their character dynamic. It's sort of a thing where, like, Whisper feels like, I think Whisper is one of the few Tangle is one of the few characters that actually makes Whisper feel vulnerable. She's one of the few characters that can actually bring out Whisper's true emotions. Like in freaking Metal Virus Saga, you literally see when Tangle gets turned into a Zombot, you literally see Whisper just break down in tears because of how upset she is that her best friend has basically died. Now, obviously, it's all made right in the end, and she's alive. Tangle is alive, but for a good, but like, it's still really emotional. In fact, later on in the same arc, she literally tries to gun Eggman, to holds Eggman at gun, like prepares to like snipe Eggman through a window, and the only reason she doesn't do it is because Cream steps in and tells her how they need Eggman if they want to fix the problem, if they want to cure everybody. Yeah, Cream is another one of those characters that can bring out positive emotions in Whisper. So, just for the sake of it, I'm just going to keep Cream right there. Yeah, they have a lot of heart-to-heart moments in the IDW comics, and I really like that. They went from being characters who had a very awkward interaction at the end of Battle for Angel Island to respectable teammates who actually care about each other. So let's talk about these models. So here is Whisper has silver lining in reference to Whisper's, I think, silver suit, I think. And she is the number 18 because she was introduced in 2018 into the series. So, yeah. This is her main face. This is her sort of disdain face. Like, in this one, she's very... I wanted to draw her with, like, closed eyes, but I figured she needed an open eyes face, too. I do plan on making a closed eyes face for her. However, if I take this off, I can put on this face. Now, the All Engines Go With came with this blank, came with the original face, obviously. So what I did was I took that face and I made it into Whisper's face mask thing. Whisper has a little mask thing that allows her to that she used to communicate with the other Diamond Cutters members, and she also kind of uses it to hide her face on a lot of occasions. That's why you barely ever see Whisper's face. she's usually covering it with her mask. I figure in universe it's more like she has like a smoke box door that covers her face. She has these two little holes, which I would suggest are like where her eyes peer through. She has this little blue thing, which I don't know what that is, but it's on the original face, so I kept it. She also has these three little dots up here, which I would assume are like speakers. I'm not fully sure. Yeah. Now, obviously, she doesn't have a gun, but honestly, I didn't know how to translate her gun. Because Jack Specific hasn't made a Whisper yet, so I can't have her with a gun, unfortunately. I'll probably figure out some type of replacement for her Wispin when I eventually figure out how the Wisps fit into this universe. Now, as for this coach, it's a 3D print that I bought off of eBay. I don't remember who made it, but it's a 3D printed coach in this white color that I bought. I gave it a little yellow stripe, which is in reference to the yellow clothes to the yellow/orange clothes that she wears. And her face is just paper. You can see right there it's starting to peel up. Maybe a bit of blue tack would solve that. Let me just take a smidge of it off of Whisper's face mask thing. There. You can kind of see it there. So, that's basically it for Tangle and Whisper. However, I also decided to add these two characters to go along with them. We have Jewel, and Lanolin. So, let's have a look. Let's start with Lanolin because there isn't really much to say. She just started as the second coach of the two that I bought. Like, the pack came with two coaches, and figured I'd make Lanolin out of the other one. Originally, I was going to make her out of a Percy or something, like a shunting engine. But I ultimately figured I wanted something that looked like just your run-of-the-mill, one-in-a-million object that blends into the background, because that's what Lanolin was for so long. She was this sheep character that just sat in the background of sets. And you never really knew the importance of her until she became an actual character in the Resistance, or the Restoration later on. And now she's like one of the core characters you associate Tangle and Whisper with. So yeah, I just wanted something that looked like it hid in the background. And since I had a second one of these coaches, I just thought, hey, why not make a consist? And now there's a full, all the diamond cutters are right here. And then we have Jewel, who is a character that you mainly associate with Tangle, so we'll just do that. So, Jewel here is made from a spare Trackmaster 2 Harvey that I owned. Now, I'm sure you're probably saying, in what universe does it make sense to make Jewel a Harvey? Like, I don't think the two characters have anything in common. Well, you're not wrong about that. They don't have anything in common. However, I thought that it would make sense for one specific reason. There's a panel in the IDW comics. There's one panel where Whisper is like, Jewel and I have been best friends since we were kids. And Jewel is like, well, yeah, because I had to constantly pull you out of trouble. Because I had to constantly get you out of trouble. Constantly pull you out of problems. she literally says, "You're the definition of what was it? You're the definition of act first, ask for questions later, whatever." No. It was she said, "You're the definition of look before you leap. Leap before you look," whatever the heck. Something like that. She said, "You're the antithesis of look before you leap." Yeah. That's what I remember. So in headcanon, these two have basically known each other for a long time. My thought process is that she was a shunting engine in the goods yard where Tangle was often stationed. And whenever Tangle would try something to have some fun, Jewel, with her crane arm, would have to rescue her. Which, makes sense. And, Jewel, she and Lanolin are both kind of nothing characters, but they both do have their moments of heart, both do have their moments where they are good. For example, Jewel, in a fairly recent comic, there was this whole thing where this villain named Clutch, who maybe I'll do a custom on one day, manipulated her using the power of his company called Clean Sweep. And Jewel, being someone who is a business owner and loves working, jumped at the opportunity to host his event. But this event turned out to be a front that ended up in Restoration HQ being destroyed. Again. That place just can't stay up in the comics. Anyway, so Jewel blamed herself for that, and there was a thing in one of the comics where Tangle picks Jewel up with her tail, and says, Clutch is the bad guy here, you aren't. And they just, hug. And they just have a nice little hug, and Jewel calls her bestie, and oh, it's so cute and wholesome. I haven't read a lot of the newer comics yet. Clean Sweep Saga is kind of what I've read up to so far. So I haven't exactly read that one yet, but I saw a panel of it when I was looking through Tangle and Jewel stuff for this video. And I thought it was just so wholesome, I had to include it. And as for Lanolin, well, she was kind of a jerk in the Clean Sweep Saga story arc. She was a douche to Sonic. She was a douche to Silver on multiple occasions. And it was only after she found out that she had trusted the wrong person, Duo, who ended up being Mimic. It was only after she realized that she had trusted the wrong person that she sought forgiveness. And Tangle, someone who is usually very forgiving, actively was, you could tell she was ticked. She literally said, "Don't get me wrong, I'm ticked about this, but we got more important things to focus on." Because the whole time, Tangle was basically just sitting there hey, Lanolin's being a kind of a douche. Kind of a douchebag. But, yeah. I personally really like this group of characters. I really hope we get to see more of Tangle, Whisper, Lanolin, Jewel. Who knows, maybe one day they'll even breach the IDW comics and actually make their way into the main timeline. I mean, hey, Tangle was mentioned by name in Sonic Frontiers, so anything's possible, really. I would say these guys have a pretty good chance at appearing someday. These guys are probably the most probable characters to appear in the mainline Sonic series from pulled from IDW, and I kind of hope they do. They're great characters, and it's because of characters like these that I can confidently recommend the IDW comics. Like, you have to sit through a lot of content, and they still put out new content. And sometimes it can take a really long time for story arcs to finish. But it's because of stuff like this that I can confidently recommend you read them. So, go read them. I think that's really all I got to say. Although I just realized I didn't talk about Jewel's details, so we'll do that real quick. She's basically Harvey, painted up in silver. She has pink lining, a pink crane hook, and pink wheels, in reference to Jewel's dress and shoes. She also has the number 2019 because I believe, like, the official web, like, the wiki claims that the Tangle and Whisper miniseries, where Jewel first debuted, apparently released in 2019. I'm just going to trust them on that. So, yeah, I think that's basically all I have to say about Tangle, Whisper, Jewel, and Lanolin. Long live this amazing group of characters, and I hope to see them again sometime. So, yeah. This is Jacob the New Engine 159. Before we start yapping, I'm just gonna end the video. So, thank you all very much for watching. Check out the IDW comics if you haven't already. If my Surgeon Kit video didn't convince you to do it, you should. Good. Like, this video should. I do plan on making some more IDW comics characters sometime soon, because there are lots of other characters I could do. Like, Mimic, there's Duo, Clutch, Dr. Starline, Rough and Tumble. Yeah, read through the IDW comics and tell me what characters you think I should, what characters from the comics would you like to see next? That's the comment question for today. What IDW character would you like to see next? So, this is Jacob the New Engine 159 saying goodbye. Thanks for watching. See you next week for another custom spotlight. And long live the Diamond Cutters.